Hello, guys. Hello. I can't believe we're doing this again. Ciao. Listen, I'm tired. So we restarted. What is this? 4 times? Okay. Tell me if you hear me. Tell me if you hear me. Come on. In the comments. Okay, yes. All right. Here we go. So my wife, who messed up the whole situation, I'm going to blame her. She was like, you got too many things running in the background. So I had to shut that down, turn my phone off. Okay, let's go. If you can hear me, if you cannot, just sign language, something. Goldie, let me know if you're there, babe. We're just waiting for one person. No? God damn. Let me call her. No, this is a different person. Who the hell am I calling? Hold on, guys. Okay. Okay, I think that's her. I know it knocked her out the first time, so let's see what happens now. Oh, wait, do I hear a sound?
Can you hear me?
What? Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. Yes,
All
ma'am.
right. Okay.
So
Okay.
just for today's shenanigans, I'm gonna blame my wife for everything that went wrong today, okay? Just because like I don't want to take accountability. No. Not tonight. Not tonight. Let's get right into it, guys. So this is obviously Goldie because you heard me calling out her name 100 times. Goldie, introduce yourself. Go ahead, mama.
Hey y'all. Hey y'all. Thank you first of all for being so patient. Look, I thought it was me, so I'm glad you're gonna shift blame to the wife, okay? But thank you for having me on today. I am known as Goldie, but my government name is Kimberly Carter. And I come to you, my original profession was as an educator. I was a teacher and school principal for over 15 years before I even entered the world of locks. So I've been in the lock industry since 2013 when I started my own lock journey. And then I became a Sister Locks consultant in 2015. And the rest is kind of history. We'll fill in the gaps, but that's how I got here.
So did you decide to transition from being in like a traditional corporate environment to the lock world, which is a little bit more loose and more natural, and I would even say more authentic? Did you decide to do that because you had this epiphany, or you just decided that you wanted to transition from a traditional kind of environment?
I had a great run in education. I was on the trajectory to, be the next principal in the county, and I was burnt out. I was burnt out. I was wearing my hair every natural way that you could think of, and I was wearing it proudly. I was the only little chocolate drop in the leadership role in my county. There were only few of us, and I say us, right? And I started doing hair. I took the class, the Sisterlocks class, kind of as a necessity because my consultant at the time had went into labor prematurely, and I found myself trying to figure out, okay, now what do I do,
Right.
if something, God forbid, if something happens to her. So I really just kind of took the class on a humble, right? Just thinking, okay, it'll be nice to have this skill, but I'd already had a client lined up before I even took the training.
Got it.
So when I took the training, I was still working full time in the school system, but I had a lot of life happening. My brother was terminal at the time, and I was burnt out because I was spending so much time with everyone else's kids, and I wasn't spending enough time with my one and only, who was going into his senior year, and I didn't have work-life balance. So I made that decision to transition from working in the school system to, hey, I'm just going to focus on my business, which was the Loxitude. And that's kind of how I got into the lock business. But it kind of just, it was a natural progression. It wasn't anything that I dreamt of or anything. I never really thought about doing any type of hair before
Right.
that, but I was always good at doing my own hair. So, once I got hip with the locks and realized like, hey, I kind of like the way this feels, helping other women and, find the beauty in their natural coils, I kind of got addicted to it and the rest kind of took off from there.
Did you feel like the natural hair community, not even did you feel, talk to me about what the natural hair community was when you initially started and what it feels like now?
Wow. When I first got my hair locked, I knew that I could do locks. I just wasn't sure that traditional locks were for me.
Okay.
That's all I was really seeing. I would see people with the micro locks, the smaller locks, but I didn't really know what they were. And actually, it was my mother that sent me pictures, and she was like, I think this is what I want to get. So once I looked at them, I thought, I think I could do that, because
Right.
I was worried about stylability, but I wasn't seeing a lot in person. I might see a magazine or something here and there. So I didn't see nearly as many women walking around with micro locks, the smaller locks, at the time that I started back in 2015. But now you see it everywhere. I feel like it's been a major change, a major shift. People are embracing their natural hair. You see all the commercials now with people wearing their locks, and it's definitely a thing now. You go and you see many other people walking around admiring, each other's locks now.
Do you feel like it's authentic or it's more of a trend?
I feel like it's both. I
Okay.
feel like it's both because, as you know, especially coming from the cosmetology background, there's more information coming out about some of the health risks,
Yeah.
associated with some of the relaxers and stuff. So I think more are starting to transition to natural styles, and they like braids, but they're tired of going and, having the edges, snatched out from, practitioners who aren't paying attention to that. So they're seeing locks as a real good alternative, but I don't think people really understand the commitment, right? I think some people still have the braids mentality when it comes to locks. So that's why we get so many unrealistic expectations. I think when, we're doing consultations, you have to do a
Right.
lot of education. I mean, that's just my opinion.
No, I completely agree with you. Because even when you hear people say that braids are a protective style and they're adding synthetic hair to it, I'm just like, how, Sway?
Yeah,
How?
yeah,
It's not, it
yeah,
don't go together. But
yeah,
I also understand that we're so limited as to what type of hairstyles we can get and what makes us feel pretty, because that's important. That's what we talk about too. What's going to maintain our hair tresses, what's going to keep it healthy. So trying
yeah,
to wrap all of that in a bundle, it can be difficult trying to identify this one thing that
yeah,
tends to work. You almost have to go through a trial by error, just to
yes,
see like what's a good fit for your lifestyle. So
yes.
Goldie, you don't know this about me, but I be going off on this tangent. And like I say, my thoughts are usually connected, but they're kind of like distant cousins. So
Okay,
they're
okay,
almost related,
okay,
but not quite. So what I do is I write things down,
yes,
because I will be talking to you about something random and your whole heritage, and it will go off and it'll be like tomorrow.
yes,
So I have some questions for you.
okay,
Any question that you don't feel comfortable with, you can just tell me, we're gonna
okay,
move on. I don't feel no
okay.
way. I don't take it personal. But if
All
you
right.
want to expound on it, then I'm open to that as well.
Well,
Okay. So let me just go ahead and
let me put my disclaimer out there because
okay.
brevity is not my strong suit. So you may have to reel me in because I too can go down the rabbit hole because everything's so layered, right? And I know when we have this discussion, because of what my experience has been, there's a lot of little dips and turns in the road and stuff. So feel free to be like, okay, go there, I'm gonna need to reel you back in. So I just put that out there. So I think we'll do fine, I think.
I'm the wrong person. Like, we don't even have a moderator. Usually Peace from the lock spot is the
Right.
moderator. I forgot to ask her tonight. So I don't know where this is gonna end up.
Okay.
I'm hoping it'll just be a 1 hour live.
Okay.
But we may see some of these people tomorrow morning. Not sure. All right, let's go into some of my crafted questions. So we talked about, you know, how you ended up in the industry. I wanted to find out from you, like, what's your setup? Are you in a storefront? Are you in a suite? Are you working from home?
Well, I have been working from home
Okay.
for probably 99.9% of the time. Around COVID, I did transition into a barbershop. A good friend of mine has a barbershop. What up, Slamming Class 2? And I went and worked in his shop because I had some immunocompromised individuals in my home. So I
Okay.
didn't want to have people coming in and out. So I did that for about a year. I loved it. I used to want to be a barber at one point in my life. So I did that for a year, but I missed being at home. I missed the convenience. So I'm back at home, and this is my, my little abode here.
I mean, what is that like? Because I did a stint at home during COVID, and I was like, I don't like it. You know, I didn't like it, not for the hair part, but just people in your business. They're seeing that you're renovating your house, so they're counting your coins. They
Yeah.
want to know, how much do you actually make as a loctician?
Yeah.
So I know that I can never work from home. If that's the last resort, yes. But if I
Mhm.
had a choice, I wouldn't. So how
Mhm.
has it been for you? What's your experience so far?
I love it. I love it in the sense of the convenience, because I can be a little challenged with time sometimes. So all I have to do is make it downstairs on time for my appointment. It allows for me to still be accessible, because keep in mind, when I was working in the school system, I was gone, 16 hours a day, so when I come
Right.
home, there was nothing left. Where I like the fact that here I set my schedule, and literally, like, I've downsized my clientele. So as I would have natural attrition, I just never replace people. So I have it so that I have a real easy
Right.
schedule. So I have a long break. So if I need to run errands, if I got to do stuff around the house, it works well. But I was one of those people when I started with this, I was very selective with my clientele. Like, I did a lot of screening before people could even get in the door for a consultation. And I know that irritated people, but I'm an energy
Right.
person.
Right.
And so, if I'm getting a weird vibe and how you're communicating with me, if you're rude and how you're communicating, I probably don't need to have you in my house. As far as the setup, literally they come in the front door. There's the office salon is right off the front door, so you're not traipsing through my
Got it.
house. I let people know up front, look, I'm an animal lover, so I have dogs that are kept away. But just in case some get froggy, it wouldn't be anything for them to get to me if they needed to. But I love it. It's a convenience thing for me, but I never really fully detached from work. That's the only thing, is like, if I'm here and I'm working, I'm still attached to what's going on to, the household. Even when I'm not working, I'm still
Right.
here. So that's the only thing where you have to really find that piece of time for your individual time, right?
Well, it's not just you, because even though you're working from home and you feel like you still have to pull from what's happening in your personal life and your professional, when you're working outside of the households and you're working in a salon setting, you're still bringing that home, because you
Yep.
still got
Yep.
to deal with all the logistics, the scheduling, and the finances.
Yes.
So I think that we all share those same kind of experiences. Don't think that you're doing anything wrong.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, I got to go back to the questions,
I
because
got you. I
I'm gonna
got you.
go over here. Okay.
Okay. Okay.
So I wanted to find out about your target demographic and who's your ideal client.
So when I first started, I was taking anybody. right? You know,
Okay.
I was just happy to get clients because you know how it is. You come through and you're like, oh, I need to get a client. You know, got to get those qualifying heads done, right? And initially, you know, I was just happy, you know, to have people wanting to come in for services.
Right.
But as time went along and I started to really interact with people in the consultations, I learned real quick. I can work with anyone. I didn't want to work with children, you know, below the age of like 15, 16. I didn't want to work with the little ones,
Okay.
just because it took a lot more, you know, just to get things done with them. And so I kind of targeted more that, you know, middle age, you know, working class, you know, people who aren't going to bring mess to my
Right.
house. Let's do it that way.
Right.
I had a few younger, you know, people, but I saw it as a mentoring opportunity. And so that worked out well. But right now, I'm not taking new clients. I kind of cut off that at probably in 2020. And so I really got the same steady folks that have been rocking with me from the beginning, which is a beautiful thing because they become like family. You
Right.
know, like they know I've seen their kids come through school, they've seen mine, and I love it. You know, and I think that's partially why I haven't reopened my books because I didn't want to have to go through the process of vetting people and making sure they're legit. And I have to say, it was really important for me coming from, you know, the background that I was working in and working, you know, sun up to sundown. I needed people to understand that my family was a priority. You know, I had
Right.
some major illnesses going on and I needed to be available. And sometimes I may have to cancel at the last minute and reschedule. And I needed that grace, you know, for people to understand I'm human just like you all are.
Right.
And I have a great mix, you know, with my clientele now. So I'm good. I'm sitting at about 30 clients and they tell me they ain't going nowhere. So I'm good with that.
I have a question because earlier in the conversation you had mentioned that there was a natural attrition that happens, and generally in business, especially for salon businesses, you have to account for about a 30% attrition rate. When you go through that transition with people, how do you replenish your supply? Like, how do you get new people in? Because right now it says you're saying that you haven't gotten new people since 2020, but if people are transitioning, how do you make up for the money that you lose?
In the beginning, like, you know, when I was up to probably 60, 70 clients, I wasn't really concerned because I knew I wanted to reduce
Okay.
it because I was too busy, like, you know, and so I just never replaced because we're in a heavy military area. So we have a lot of people transition, move in and
Right.
out with orders. I've only really had to release maybe a handful of clients, you know, because it just was not a good fit personality wise. You know, just something was just not off. I really haven't had to release that many. So honestly, the people that I have, they've just stayed, you know, and then the others have just kind of moved out and done their thing, and then a few releases. But I haven't really had to worry about the replenishment. But what I will say is my thinking is it's just like I've had a couple that have snuck in, family, friends that have gotten installs from me, but the word of mouth is out
Right.
there. And I emphasize this to, you know, newbies coming into the business. If you put good work out there and you develop a reputation, you won't have to worry about finding new clients. They'll find you. They'll be waiting to come to you. Because I still get people that are in my inbox like, so I guess you just ain't gonna never open your books again. And I'm like, yeah, I'm not really looking to do that, you know. Your girl pushing up, I'm getting older, so I just don't have the stamina to do installs and stuff like I used to. So I'm just trying to pass it on, you know, with the teaching and mentoring and stuff now. So
You mentioned that sometimes you have to release clients. Can you walk me through that process? Because I know we all have our own style
yeah.
of transitioning clients. Talk to me about what happens when Goldie says, you know what, this person is not a good fit. I can't work with them anymore.
Yeah. First and foremost, I try to treat people the way I want to be treated. Okay, so let me lead with that. Okay. And the few that I have had to release has been for a variety of reasons. One might be, you know, they're just not compliant. You know, when you're starting your lock journey, there's a lot of stuff that you need to tend to when you're away from the stylist. Because I tell people like, hey, you with your hair longer than I am. You know, I
Right.
see you every so many weeks. Here's what I need you to do. And you have people that just blatantly disregard that. It's taking more time. They don't give you a heads up. So now I'm spending 5 hours on a retightening when it should only been 2.5, 3 hours or
Right.
what have you. So the release, I try to handle with care, okay? And I typically will do it in writing, okay? We'll have a conversation usually that, hey, we're pushing up, like this is becoming a problem, but I typically do in writing because people get amnesia, okay? And so the business part of me is, I put things in writing. And I know some people may think that's cold, but it's like, look, I don't want anything to be twisted about what I'm saying and what I'm not saying. If we need to talk and clarify it, that's fine.
Right.
But typically it will result in, either an email or it might be a text. Now, if it's something crazy, I've only had one situation that was just negative. Well, two. But I still was professional and I put it in writing what the issue was. And honestly, I don't care how gently you try to let a client down. If you're not, and this is kind of where I have to learn that balance that, okay, you're a service provider. Even though you may feel like you're cool and you have this relationship with people, at the end of the day, you see how people really think about you once you tell them
Yeah.
no about something.
Yeah.
Okay. And so I had a couple where the horns came out, and mine were tempted to come out too, but they just maybe came out a little bit, not all the way. But just to let people know, like, look, it's not personal, it's business. Now it can be personal if you continue on this path, but I usually cut that off. I don't go back and forth with people. But
It is a
I
form of rejection. So I think that even though people are are doing well in the world, they're cultured, they're educated, so
yep,
they understand that every relationship won't reach marriage. I
yeah,
think that they still feel uncomfortable with the fact that you said no, especially since you're a patronizing individual who's willing to go all the way to the end, but your behavior or your inconsistency is causing you to disturb your working relationship with your loctician. And some people don't realize that, like, it's
yes,
not always about the money.
yes,
Sometimes
yes,
you get tired of these folks because they destroy their hair, and then
yep,
they expect for you to fix it after
yep,
12, 16 weeks, and you thinking that they are working with someone and they're coming in with the aftermath.
yes,
I don't know what it is. Sometimes people come in. I don't want to talk about clients, but sometimes
yeah,
people do come in and you're just like, oh, they had to have been going to someone because it's been 6 months.
yeah,
So
yeah,
they have to have. And then you're looking at the new growth and it's hanging on by a thread.
yep,
And they feel
yep,
like, even though it took me half a year to ruin my locks, it should take you a 3-hour session to
yes.
restore it.
Yes, and it doesn't work like that. And it's
It sure
tiring.
don't.
It's very draining. Yeah. So I haven't had many, but I have
Okay.
definitely had enough. And I've had some instances where, I maybe could have handled it a little bit better, on a couple of instances. But, we live and we learn, and we're human. That's what I tell people. It's like, look, I'm professional, I'm doing, but I'm not a whipping post either, So it's like, okay, I get it, you're upset, but at the end of the day, I really don't owe this much of an explanation, but I'm giving this to you because I want you to understand it's not personal, it's business. So yeah, you have to toe the line, and I don't have an issue. I'm comfortable with conflict and difficult conversations. That doesn't bother me. So
That's perfect. So let's talk about what caused you to take the Sisterlocks class, because you are a Sisterlock consultant. And from the time that you took the class to the time that you developed a patented tool, I want to know all about that. And I want all the greasy stuff. Don't try to water it down. So make it pretty. I want to know all the gully stuff about what happened in between that process. You could shorten it, but it got to be authentic. We
yeah.
don't need the politically correct version, Goldie. We not here for that. We not
So
here for
basically, I
that.
couldn't do my school board presentation. I got to go ahead and do the sister talk, basically.
No cowboy
Well,
slides.
right, right. Well, I'm gonna try not to take a year to tell you about this, but You know, when I first joined, you know, Sister Locks, I took the class. I was motivated. I was excited, just like the typical person that takes the class. I'd always seen stuff like on YouTube and things, you know, people tell you, oh, this is how you do a 4-point rotate. You know, I saw people online, but I'm an authentic person.
Right.
So I'm like, well, okay, what it is that they're trying? Why not just take the class, you know? And so, of course, like I said, my consultant had gone into labor prematurely. She farmed us out and had things set up for us. But I knew I got to take a class. I need to
Right.
learn how to do this myself, because that's one thing. I can't be out here with my hair looking crazy and not having the means to manage my hair. That's just never been me. So when I took the class, everything was good to go. I appreciate that. There were some things that were said in class. Now, for me being an educator, okay, I teach for a living. I taught teachers how to teach. There were some things that stood out to me in the training, but my consultant had already warned me, okay, about some things. So not to get too focused on that. So complete the training. You know, we got, and what stood out to me about the training was the warnings, you know, about, you know, this trademark. And you know, she has sued people, you know, Dr. Cornwell has sued people before, and that was like a badge of honor in that discussion. And that kind of turned me off in the class. But okay, I understood somewhat about trademarks, not like I do now, but I understood, okay, it's something you legally protect. Okay, let's move on.
Right.
So I remember leaving the training, and I was still kind of like mortified. Like I knew the basics, but I felt like I don't feel ready, you know, to go take clients.
Most
But I
people
already
say
have
that.
clients. Exactly, right? That is a common feeling. But luckily, my consultant at the time, you know, she just like, look, you know how to do it. You need help, call me, you know. So that helped to have someone that I could pick up and phone a friend.
Okay.
And I already had a client lined up. So all I had to do was just go do it, you know, take my time. So I went through, did a couple, you know, my first couple of establishments, no problem, because I didn't want more than that, because I was really just working on the weekends, because I was still doing the admin thing, and I wanted my weekends to myself. And things were good, but you know about this consultant, you know, collaborative group that we had, and that was where I was really introduced to what was really going on, you know, in the background. Like people were, you know, very clear about what their experiences were, and they were not good. And so I typically don't get on bandwagons. You guys will see that in my page. Like I have my own opinions. I like to form my own opinions. But again, my spidey senses had already been tingling from class and things that I didn't really like. And so now I'm hearing this from people who've been in the game for 10, 15 years, and the same old, just different day, SSDD. So I kind of perked up with that. Fast forward a couple years, certified. I've started doing it full time, full court, you know, caseload of clients. I'm loving it. I'm doing everything I'm supposed to do as a certified consultant. I am a champion for the brand. But I also didn't like the elitism, you know, that idea that we were somehow at this upper echelon and better, you know, then. And I didn't kind of like that internal feeling, like the way clients were being treated, the way clients were being discussed, you know, in certain forms and stuff. I'm like, well, what is this about? You know what I mean? Okay, maybe they can't afford Sister Locks. So that was an issue for me, because I don't typically operate like that. But again, this is my business and my four walls. So things progressed, and my clients, I was sending people to take the training. They were reporting back, going to the training. Materials weren't available, just negative stuff, you know, things that I don't typically associate with me in any form. I am not associated with anything janky ever in my life. And that's kind of what, so I was feeling bad about the people I referred to the training, that this was their experience, but I'm like, well, hell, you've been hearing this too, so why are you surprised that they're experiencing it, you know, and so forth. So then there's the issue with ordering products. You know, we can't get starter shampoo, we can't, you know, we don't know when it's going to be, you know, it was just all those little things in the background that the public didn't know, that I didn't like. Because again, I'm coming from a professional background.
And they're criticizing you because you are the retailer, and the goal is to buy it wholesale it wasn't necessarily a wholesale price for real, but just get it wholesale,
Yes.
and then
Yeah.
and then of course sell it to your client. But they're
Yeah.
like, you never have products. It's a
Yeah.
reflection of your business.
Yes. So all this went on for a couple of years, and I would say right around 2018, 19, whenever the brand ambassador was rolled
Yes.
out, that was like a big nasty taste in my mouth, because I generally felt that as consultants we were being disrespected. The
Mm.
way we were being treated, we were being disregarded, because I'm one that if I bring a problem to the table, I come with solutions, right? If I'm going to complain, I'm going to come to you with some ideas or what have you. And I know that several of us were doing that.
Right.
And it's not like the leader was not in these groups and was not aware of this feedback, okay, but was refusing to be responsive to it.
Right.
So this went on, and the brand ambassador, that we were divided as consultants. You probably remember we were all going back and
We were
forth.
all fighting.
We were all
We were all
going
fighting
back
in
and
that
forth,
group.
because my thinking is, okay, well, what am I paying this extra money for when I don't even know what my original fees are going? Like, we don't even get what we're supposed to get with that. So why am I going to pay you now $400 for this title? Because that was a big thing. And so I just got tired. That's the
Okay.
bottom line. I got tired of talking. And I feel, as a leader with my background and my experience, what I understand about change is that you have to give people a compelling reason to change. And I felt that what most people understand is when you mess with their money.
Mm.
Okay. So my thing was, I'm trying to talk to you. I'm trying to be a solutions oriented person.
Right.
And the things that I was hearing in the background was that there really wasn't a whole lot of care and concern about that. Okay, so I basically felt disrespected as a stakeholder. And I don't do business like this. I
Right.
knew that there were things that were misleading to customers, and I didn't like that. And I didn't like being a part of that. And I didn't like being a part of ushering people into a community that I knew had bad business practices. So I felt it was best for me to remove myself and walk away. So I started to pull away. I quietly quit, if that makes sense.
Yes.
So I was still doing everything I was supposed to do. I just wasn't ordering nothing from them. I wasn't giving them any more of my money. I was just, being quiet about it because I was tired of talking about it. So fast forward to COVID, 2020, we're in the shutdowns.
Mm-hmm.
Our clients are going 15, 16 weeks without retightenings. And they're like, help, I need help. And I'm like, yeah, you do need help, because you ain't gonna have them locks on the edges, in a few more weeks. So let's figure out what to do. So I was encouraging them to take the Sisterlocks retightening class.
Okay.
And of course, with things being shut down, they weren't available. So there was a consultant that was offering to do it virtually. Okay, and I ain't saying names. And home office shut that down.
Right. I
They shut
remember
her
that too.
down, because I was ready to send a whole squad of my clients to her. I was like, sis, I will send them to you. Because again, I'm still trying to respect the brand.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
And they shut that down, and then they came back and started offering the retightening class at a higher
I
rate
remember
during the
that too.
pandemic. My clients were livid. They were like, I'm not paying that. I need you to show me. And so I was like, well, and so the more I kind of thought about it, I was like, well, there's nothing really that I can't show them. I'm not giving them the system, blah, blah, blah. So I created my first virtual retightening class for my clients. That was in
Okay.
2020, like around April. They loved it. I had people in my following that were hitting me up because they were hearing the messages I was sharing publicly on YouTube.
Right.
And they were asking, can I take your retirement class? So I started inviting them to the public. It went well. Next, people were requesting, hey, would you consider teaching how to actually install? And I'm thinking, would people really do that? Of course they would, because everyone don't want to be involved in what was going on here. And I was already pissed at
Right.
that point, because I'm thinking,
Right.
you are price gouging at a time where people need us to have some empathy and, just have some decency about how we're working with
Right.
people. So I started offering. That's where Four Brown Queens was born. Honestly, that's how Four Brown Queens came to be. Started out as the Interlock Academy, but we had some trademark name issues, so I had to back off of that because the name was already taken.
Okay.
So that's then when we ended up changing it to Four Brown Queens. And so we started with the virtual. We were 100% virtual.
Okay.
Then a year later, we came up, and released the DAP tool. And
Okay,
understand.
hold on. Pause. Pause.
Okay.
Before I want you to skip the DAP tool,
Okay.
finish the story, and then I want you to go into how you created the DAP tool.
So it is intertwined. So,
Okay.
we came with the virtual because again, we were in lockdowns, people were stuck in the house, but I thought this is a great opportunity for people to be able to manage their hair, their family members' hair, if they want to just learn how to do the art of interlocking. So the virtual was a go. I mean, people were all over. They were intimidated by the idea of doing it virtual, 100% online, but it was a hit because it was feeding a need. People were tired of the stuff that was going on with Sisterlocks, and how they were treated during that time.
Right.
So people were flocking to take the class. And we stayed on that for a while. But at the same time, I knew when I started the class, I'm like, I got to get this tool out here because the idea had already been there for years, but it was
Okay.
just I needed something to work for me. And we transitioned to where we were doing live classes. So really the class stuff, that's just history. It just kind of spawned from that, me being fed up with what I was dealing with. And I knew I couldn't control what home office was doing, but I can
Right.
control, right, and give people an alternative. And that's what it was really all about.
So talk to me about inception. So you had this idea about the tool. You decided, okay, I'm gonna contact a company. I'm gonna walk me through that process, and then tell me about like some of the nuances connected to developing a tool and then going through the patent process because that is expensive. People don't know the difference between trademarking and
Yeah.
when patenting something. So I want you to talk to me about that.
Yeah. So the idea of how I wanted it to, it was always in my head, but again, I was working at the time, with partners at the time, and we all had different ideas.
About
But
the
this
same tool?
about a tool, what the tool should look like, and because Four Brown Queens kind of spun off of Loxitude, it was kind of like, well, look, I'm all about collaboration, but sometimes as a leader, you can take under advisement what people want to do, but as a leader, you kind of have to have that final say, and
Okay.
this is the direction we're gonna go. So there were a couple ideas pitched, and I didn't really like and I felt like my idea was the better idea. I mean, I hate to say that, it sounds kind of bad, but I just felt like, no, I got to follow my gut on this because, again, I was one of those consultants that when I was doing my retightenings and servicing my clients, I didn't wait for separate repair sessions unless it was like a whole head that needed to be
Got it.
repaired. So if I'm doing a retightening, I'm tending to your locks. If you've got slippage, I'm fixing the slippage. But
Right
what was
then and there.
happening is I'm using one tool, now I got to put this tool down, I got to go get this so I can do the repairs. And I knew I wanted something that would save time and be more efficient. So I always knew, okay, I'm definitely going to have a hook side, because that still is like the crochet
Right.
action. But I need it to be shaped a certain way. And I also need a tool that can double as something else on the other side. I didn't want just a blunt end on that side. So going from that, it was okay, now that I have this idea, I had a little makeshift drawing or whatever. How do I go about getting this done? I mean, I bought materials, I was carving, so you would have thought I was like, what do you call people that whittle,
You
the
didn't just
whittle?
hire a manufacturer?
Not right away. Not right
Okay.
away. I went through a lot to get the prototype because I had to have, a real clear understanding. I was exploring materials, so I was ordering different materials so I could see what would work. It needed to be industry safe to stand up to the chemicals that we sanitize with and stuff. So I was doing a lot of, and that's my nature. I'm a repair person. I fix stuff. I got my own tool belt. I'm the one that fixes stuff in my house.
Right.
So I was in here and then I called a couple prototype companies, went through a lot of stuff with them because the concept to them about what this was going to be used for, it was foreign to them.
Right.
Right. So you really had to be able to articulate what the vision was. And then you had to really toe the line, because you have to be careful with these companies. Like these engineers, they tend to be male dominated, and they don't necessarily listen, and they're looking at you as a Black woman. I'm just going to call it what it is. Like, okay, she doesn't really understand this. So I had to toe the line on a lot of stuff, like, no, this is what I want, So I finally came across a company, an engineer that understood, he was willing to listen, came up with some drafts after he saw, I sent him stuff so he could see. I sent pictures of, like, I want it like this, but I want this point like this. I want it this long. Well, does it have to be that long? Yes, it needs to be this long. It needs to be this wide. And we went from there. But it was a whole fiasco, getting to the point where it was somebody I could trust. Because again, when you're dealing with patents, you have to handle your stuff with care. You have to be private about it, because it can't see the light of day until you've got your stuff filed. Okay. So once we got everything drafted and we knew what the dimensions were, and I had a couple samples sent to me, I was like, yes, this is it. And then we got into pricing, production, pulled the trigger on that, got in touch with the attorney, and pulled the trigger on the paperwork,
So
But
tell me about the hiccup, because, we were a part of the same community, and there was a moment where you put out the tool, but I felt like you were open to feedback. So I want to put that out there. And you were like, hey, I'm doing this thing. Let me know what your experience is. And then what I admired about you, obviously I didn't tell you directly, but just from a distance, what I admired about you was that you were willing to take your licks. Because they was all up in them comments, boy. This ain't shit. What the hell is this? But one thing, you were like, hey, okay, I'm taking notes. And when you came back so strong with a superior product that now the rooms are silent. I thought that was interesting. No one said, oh my gosh, she did so much better. But that they were so willing to speak negatively.
Yes, that part. I took some licks on that. Like, all these gray hairs y'all see here, I think I got all these in that 4-month period. And the tool released in February 2022. Okay, the original, the initial rollout, everything was great. Sending them out, we was shipping, we was excited. At the post office, they like some more, it was lovely, and I was so proud. Okay, and I would say probably around the middle of March, when people really had started using the tool, I would get a 1 message or 2 messages, from people. It's like, hey, my tool broke. And it was like, oh, they must not know what they're doing. Everybody don't know how to use an advanced tool. Like, I know my tool ain't broke, So I'm over here like, okay, this is a onesie, two. Now, of course, we were handling it because, we deal with customer service. But I didn't really take it that serious, with the first couple. But I thought it was strange. But again, I attribute it to user error, because we had a lot of people that just didn't know how to use an advanced tool like this. But then when the 4th and 5th call came in, I was like, oh shit, we might have a problem. Now, in the scale of things and how many tools we had sold versus the number of people that were reporting breaks initially, it was minuscule. Like, it was statistically insignificant. But for me, it was still a big deal, because these are customers that think, I just paid how much money for this tool and my tool broke after 2 uses? Nah. So we were like, okay, let's watch this and see. Let's get the replacements done. But by the end of March, I was like, no, wait, something's wrong. Because I've been using my prototype tool, which is never as good as what the final production tool is. I've been using mine for how many months now before I even breathe life into this tool. Why are these people breaking tools? So I knew immediately we had a PR issue. Okay. And because where do people go? They go to social media. People were going to social social media to complain about their tool breaking. They hadn't even notified us that the tool was broken.
Only
So
because they knew it was Black owned. Let's just be clear about
yes,
that.
please.
They
Yes.
only rushed to social media because they knew there was a Black woman behind it. Okay, you can
Yes.
continue.
Yes. So, but I'm glad, but I think that's a case study in and of itself, because it really, like, it pissed me off, but I understood. But I'm like, how are you on here? You didn't even give us a chance to make it right, you know? And I'm glad to have this platform to share, because I don't think people understand, like, how nasty people can be, you know, and like they say, it beyond people, right? I'm like, so man, how quickly they go from loving you to hating you, you know? But I wasn't going to run from it, because I don't
Okay.
run. And I knew that this is not an issue with the tool. This is a production
Got
issue.
it.
So I knew immediately I got to deal with these people up here, because I done paid these jokers a lot of money. No, I'm going to need you to run me my money back, because you costing me money, because now these tools that should have been meant for sale, I'm doing as replacements. And even some of those were breaking, but there was no rhyme or reason.
Do you feel comfortable giving us some rough numbers? You know, I'm not trying to
You,
get into your business, Goldie, but can
you
you
know
give us
what?
some
I
rough
don't.
numbers as to what this production, this whole situation costs?
Wow. I could tell you the first round, I would say probably was about 9 grand. That's
Yeah.
probably about 9 grand for the first round. Yeah. And that's not to mention all the stuff that had been paid just in the
Sounds
preparation. You know, the draft,
about right.
you got to pay engineers, you got to do that, you know. So probably by the end of by the time, it was probably a good 10 grand, 10, 11 grand by the time it's all said and done. So I hadn't just spent like a couple hundred. No, this was some thousands of dollars. You know what I'm saying? I was like, yeah, I'm gonna need you to run some of that back, and I need y'all to fix this. So I was dealing with the public interface and the Discord, because people were quick to go and talk negatively, even though we were taking care of customers when they let us know, hey, my tool broke. We just had, but the nature of me being an educator, understanding data, I had to get data to support my argument that they
Right.
had done something wrong. So even though we were replacing, look, I need you to tell me, what were you doing with the tool? You know, so I had a few questions and stuff. That's how I was able to pinpoint it was production. It
Got it.
wasn't design. It wasn't a design flaw. You guys aren't curing this right. You guys aren't doing something right, because I had the
Got it.
numbers. So I was dealing with the interface. Meantime, everything internal to Four Brown Queens, my internal partners, was imploding in the disaster, falling apart. And I'm still trying to contend with what was going on in these social media streets, and in the process of firing my manufacturer and hiring another manufacturer so we can redesign and tighten things up.
So
Okay.
just to be
Now,
clear, you started Four Brown Queens with four brown people,
yep.
and then somehow that transitioned into one brown person, and then eventually you went to changing manufacturers, having to deal with public scrutiny,
Yes.
having to deal with the finances associated with starting this new brand, and
Yep.
now you have to go through the patent process.
Yep.
So
And that
tell
ain't
me,
cheap either.
I know it ain't cheap. That's why I'm asking these questions, okay?
Yeah.
Listen, I'm Geraldo right now. I want to
Yep.
know the
Yeah.
numbers. No, the reason why I ask specific questions is because what I find with Black folks, our folks, kin folks, is that we don't like to talk about finances. We love to talk about sex. We love to talk
Yep.
about our favorite color, but we don't talk about money. And
Yeah.
what I try to do, especially in my environment at work, is I surround my clients with that conversation around finances. I
Yeah.
put it on television, I talk about it. And so I don't feel uncomfortable talking with numbers. I run my numbers all the time. And
Mm-hmm.
I think it's important for people to understand that. But when
Yeah.
you talk about patenting something,
Yeah.
that's a whole different realm of business.
Yeah.
And I don't even understand that part. And so
Yeah.
I'm curious, not only for the people who are watching, but really just for education. What
Yeah.
is the process to patent something?
It's honestly, it's a lot of paperwork, and you have to come with your manufacturing stuff. So that's why I
Okay.
knew and so I had been researching this stuff before. I mean, you talking 2, 3 o'clock, I'm up researching, and let me just be clear. Initially, my legal counsel had advised that they didn't think it was going to be possible for me to get the patent.
Right.
And so this was all the internal engine that was driven. I know, we talked earlier. I said, I'm not a Bible thumper. I'm not running around quoting scripture and stuff like that.
Right.
But I am a spiritual person. And I know that there are some things that have happened for me. And I know you can't tell me what nothing but God. Because even with the patent, like I'm not getting into that part. But when I say everything had pointed to no, okay, for the patent. And even when I'm talking to the attorney, even though I'm understanding, okay, this is his area of expertise. You have to get a patent attorney.
Right.
You can't get some regular attorney. You got to get somebody that's where they specialize in.
Right.
Because you're dealing with the patent and trademark office. They're very specific in how they want stuff done. And any slip up in how you turn it in can get your stuff
Right.
thrown out.
Right.
So you got to come with the stuff and the resources as the inventor. But you also have to you got to have the chutzpah, basically, to stand up to folks. Okay, even though, okay, I understand it's your profession, but I need you to hear me too. So we had to have some meetings of the mind, to talk about, first of all, is this invention even patentable? Okay,
Right.
because you have to do that. That costs money just to do a search, just to see if your stuff is worthy
Right.
and eligible for a patent. And we ain't talking just a couple $100. You already up at about $1,000, depending on how good your attorney is. For mine, I had a good attorney, so he was expensive. Okay, he like you, but he's still gonna charge you what he needs to charge you, right?
Right.
So we did a lot of talking, and time is money. So every conversation, it costs money. Every email that you got to go back and forth is like, yeah, let me go and get the invoice for this. Okay. So you got to go through and find out if your invention is even able to be patentable on the surface,
Got
because
it.
that's just the initial. Once you get your paperwork submitted, there's fees associated with that, just for them to file and say, okay, we got your application. Now you got to stand up the scrutiny from the internal examiners, because now they're going to do their own research
Got it.
about people who have applications and anything similar, anything that had a previous patent on it that now is expired, because a patent is only good for so many years.
But if it
Then
was
you go,
expired, does it prevent you from moving forward with the application process?
it depends. Okay, and that's where there's all these little nuances and these little statutes, these little bullet points under the statute, that if it's one that has already been patented and expired, you can pursue it and pick up something again, but I think it has to meet certain
It sounds
criteria.
like a
So
money grab.
it
I mean, I don't
absolutely.
know. Listen, obviously this is not my lane, but it sounds like they look for reasons to reject the application so that they can earn
Absolutely.
additional fees.
Yep. Yep. And and of course, if you want to fast track it, you can pay extra money, but it's not really any faster. Now, luckily, my attorney told me that. He was like, don't spend the money to fast track it, because it's not. And literally, like, I just got the approval last month, and that was a 2-year process to get from
Wow.
submission to approval. And I mean, things get kicked back for the smallest thing. If you don't write something up the right way, if the drawing is too fuzzy, and I mean, it was crazy. So it's like, and I ended up having to hire a professional drawer, because they still didn't think
What?
that yeah. So I really should have had this a year ago, but the examiner was a butthole, basically. So we had to keep going back and forth. But if you have a good attorney, you don't have to do much, but when they ask you for stuff, you got to get it to them.
Right away.
You got to follow certain rules of engagement. Like, you shouldn't be marketing your stuff before you have filed your application for the patent, because then that makes you subject to saying, this isn't really novel. It was out here, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
So all of these little things that the average person won't know if you're not researching it. But there's nothing quick about the
I'm about
process.
to ask you a question that ain't nobody
Mm-hmm.
else gonna ask you.
Okay.
So you know that the DAP tool has similarities to the Sisterlock hook tool. Okay?
Mm-hmm.
We're gonna say what it is.
Mm-hmm.
Yours is more efficient, and everyone has said that.
Mm-hmm.
Did they come after you?
They tried it. They tried it. They tried it when I was doing the retightening classes. That I got a whole little cease and desist email, and and listen, I tell people I don't scare easily. Okay, if you can't tell about my personality, like I'm fine with conflict. Like I said, I don't have any problem with it. If I'm wrong, tell me I'm wrong. I don't have a problem owning if I'm wrong. If I'm stepping on toes, hey, and I'm not supposed to be there, but that's what my attorney will tell
Right.
me. Okay, so I had sense enough that when I stepped away, I'd already had my legal stuff in step because I already knew they were going to try something.
Right.
So I initially got an email about my self-retightening classes saying it was infringing, and my attorney politely and promptly let them know, go sit down, leave my client alone, because it's like we know from your other court case, you don't have a leg to stand on with this. So that went on a couple years. I ain't hear nothing. The minute this tool hit the market, and as you know, I was marketing in the consultants group because it was not run by home office.
Right.
So even though I'm irritated with them, I still have respectful rules of engagement and how I do business. If it were run by them, I would have never put my tool in there to advertise because it's not Sisterlocks related. But this was a group run by consultants, okay? And they had their group shut down, okay, because there was so much interest in my tool. And once they tried to flex their wings on that, I got an email about my tool. And I promptly said, and this was from me, my attorney's already been in touch with you. So if there's any concerns on any updates, you need to go through my attorney. Otherwise, basically get on my inbox, basically.
Let me insert a commercial break real quick so y'all know what happened, okay? Because Goldie is getting around what happened when she put out her information. Yeah. Let me tell y'all in 30 seconds or less. So we were part of a Sisterlocks consultant, trainee, and certified group. It was run by a few young ladies who were consultants. Sisterlocks home office was like, oh no, y'all are allowing people to promote things that are not Sisterlock friendly. So we want to take it over, and then started to send them these bullying emails threatening to sue them. Mind you, it's a Facebook group. It's Facebook. And so they felt, the administrators of this group felt like, look, I don't want no smoke. I don't want no stress. I got a family. I'm not in a position to be sued. I don't know if I can be sued. I'm going to bow out gracefully and y'all can take the reins. So that group went on pause, and then the Sisterlocks Corporation created a brand new Sisterlocks consultant group. And only a third of the people who were part of the original group joined the new group. And that just spoke to, it spoke to how focused they were on things that didn't matter. And I'm going to say it out loud because sometimes people don't hear it in plain English. The word Sisterlocks is trademarked, but their tool is not patented. I'm going to say it again. If I could sing, I would sing it. The tools that they use are not patented. I want you to dig through my social media when I said that. And I was going back and forth with a young lady because she was trying to accuse me of being in violation. And I said to her, if I'm in violation of anything, point it out. And then she came back and said, well, even if you aren't in violation, it's horrible that you're doing this. No. Feelings don't count. Feelings don't count. We only talk about facts. So I'm saying this because I think that we all collectively supported the lock community, the sister lock community. I feel stupid. I feel stupid because I feel like we put them on this pedestal. And then when they acted like project chicks, we were all stunned. But the truth was, they've been hood. They've been acting like ragamuffins. They've been the chicks that stay at the dance hall clubs until 6 o'clock in the morning because they trying to find some dude to buy them one last drink and to see if they can just buy them an oxtail dinner. Like, they've been those chicks. but we've been looking at them as someone totally different. And so I think that now that we've opened our eyes, we realize that they're human.
Yeah.
And they're not professional, and
Yeah.
they're not as great as we wanted them to be.
Yeah.
And so I think the hurt that we felt when they behaved the way they
Yeah.
did was, I feel like it was a little bit more than maybe someone who wasn't a pioneer, who wasn't a leader in a lock community, but they were.
Yep.
They looked like us.
Yep.
We cared about them. We pursued the
Yep.
Sisterlocks dream.
Yep.
Hey, listen, y'all can say what y'all want. Look up everybody in New York. Half of the people in New York on our website either works for my salon or was a customer of Vanity. I put so many people on to the Sisterlocks because I felt like, hey, if you want to make some extra money, and once you take the class, if you're confused, don't worry, I got you. Come to my salon. I'm open 7 days a week. I'll help you. So we were promoting their business. And if you disrespected us by dismissing anything that we had to say, there were people who were directors in HR, and they were trying to help them redo their policies and their SOPs. And they was like, we got it. And look at them right now. They're pulling out all the Sisterlocks police to tell people you can't put up grid photos. Go sit down. Go sit down. It's not working. The internet has allowed people to get exposed to everything. Do you feel slighted by the Sisterlocks community, or you feel like it's just the cost of doing business?
I think both. Initially, I was in my feelings initially, because the whole premise of me developing my training, so that people didn't have to commit to all these rules and regulations, and developing the tool was for empowerment. That was the sole reason. Like, literally, I developed this as a result of being pissed off, okay, and being treated like I didn't have an option. And see, I don't deal well with bullies. I don't deal well with people taking advantage or thinking they're taking advantage of me. And my thing was, I knew that many of the consultants, their biggest gripe in the background when we would have our private conversations was that if it wasn't for the tools, I probably wouldn't even recertify. I can tell you how many times I heard that. Now, of course, I couldn't tell them what I had up my sleeve in terms of, look, I'm not ordering anything else from them, but I know I'm going to need something to be able to do my job. I couldn't say anything. I just knew it was coming. And so to release this tool, knowing that my whole purpose was to give people the opportunity to step out, if that's what you chose to, because it's kind of was like an abusive relationship. Like when you're in domestic violence, someone that is like they saved and they know it's jacked up, and it's like, okay, this is so disrespectful. There's no regard here. It's like not even being considered. I'm being used for this. And we're working for the brand, like we're promoting the brand. And to be treated like that, it was like, no, I can't give you no more of my money. And I'm going to help other people who don't want to be treated like that. I'm going to give them an option so that, hey, hon, if you need tools, you ain't got to wait 6 months or whatever the doggone rule was. I got your tools whenever you need them. Come on and order. Try my tool. Okay? So when everything hit the fan with the break and, the defect issue and some of the little side comments that people would make in the group, because, of course, they drinking the Kool-Aid. They still scared. And I was like, what about how I've been moving for the last 2 years would make you think that I give a damn, about what the brand, you know what I'm saying? Like, I've been out here, I've been advertising my class. I ain't running nowhere. As Deion Sanders said, I am not hard to find. I've been here, right? So I was like, okay, people would be in my inbox. Well, I'm sure that's probably going to be an issue. Ain't no issue, boo. They done already tried it, and I wish that more people would have understood the power that they held in numbers, to stand up to the behavior. So then to see, okay, they're deliberately trying to keep people from supporting my brand. Why is that? You know what I'm saying? Like, so we can't have the one tool that helps us work on natural coils and to manage your sister locks or your microlocs, we can't have but one tool. When you don't even, you didn't change the design of the tool. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not even treating your stakeholders with the respect that they deserve. So I'm going to do you one better, and I'm going to make something available so these women can do what they need to do, whether it's men, women, or whatever, so they can do their work and it doesn't have to be interrupted.
I
So it
think
was
in the beginning they did offer some exclusivity for the brand, and there was a time and place for it, right?
right.
But then the
Absolutely.
internet showed up. And when the internet showed up and gave people access all at the same time, at the same level, with no filter, they did not pivot. And so they're still stuck on, it's like the parent that's still trying to convince you that you have to be a virgin to get married.
Yeah.
They're that, right? You're going to be lost, okay? That's not the world today. And I think that what ended up happening with that is that they started to condemn the people that were saying, hey, try to think about it a little bit different. We still support you, but let's try to have a conversation around transitioning, because we're all trying to transition with the internet. Nobody really expected this to explode. So all of our businesses have transitioned into internet only, right? So nobody's giving out flyers, nobody's giving out business cards. You have to have a social media presence. You have to have a website. That's the minimum. They're not moving. They're selling T-shirts that say, Sisterlocks, TM, and doing boat rides with people who look like they got their locks falling out. Like, that's not.
I'm not
Late.
hearing
It's
any
late.
lies.
I'm just being petty.
No
I think I just get petty when
lies.
it's late.
No lies. But to answer your question, it was hurtful in the sense that I'm doing this for us.
Right.
You see what I'm saying? And I didn't feel the need. No one's ever really heard me come on and badmouth the brand, even though I felt like there was all kinds of stuff that I could expose, screenshot after screenshot, like time and time again. I never chose to say anything negative because I didn't want people to think that I needed to build my brand off of their, being negative to them. But then the recent revelation that, wow, someone got removed from the list because spies are going back, curly crowns to your Pam. And, they specifically mentioned that it was an issue that she was using my tool to do repairs. And I'm like, isn't the goal for us to be able to take care of our clients? What happened to the issue being about taking care of our clients? If I have a tool that helps me perform my service more efficiently, why is that a problem for you? Other than the fact that it's not money coming in your pocket. And what did I lead with? People change when they have a compelling reason to change. So now you're not getting that money. So now all of a sudden you want to look at, oh, well, how can we do something different? Except you want to try to bring down another Black woman who literally just went and took innovation and did what she did with it. You see what I'm saying? Like, okay, yes, it's similar. How many, tools are out there that have hook ends on them? I chose to make a tool that would work for me. And I figured if it would work for me, I know there's other consultants and locticians out here who would appreciate it. That's what it was about.
And people do. So just in case no one said it to you out loud, Goldie, everyone loves the DAP tool. And as much as people, and I would say not even a large group of people who were complaining, because that's just what they're addicted to. They don't have nothing else going on in their life. They ain't got no man. They ain't got no kids that like them. So they just complain on the internet. But outside of those 2 or 3 people, we were in the background rooting for you. Myself, I know for sure, Connie, I don't know about nobody else. I can't count nobody else. But I'm saying that we were rooting for you in the background because we knew that this tool was going to make a difference and it was going to disrupt some things. So as soon as you got it back on track, everybody ordered. I know that you saw all those orders. Like, as soon as you were like, okay, we good now, everybody was ordering multiple. And it does work well. And so I think that somehow there needs to be a marriage between innovation and maintaining the culture of
Yeah.
locks, right? And, you know, somehow bringing together the old and the new. I know that other communities, lock communities, are not open to it right now. But if you could just wave your wand and say, okay, I'm in charge of bringing everybody together. I'm in charge of cultivating a new community. Talk to me about some of the things that maybe you would implement. It doesn't have to be anything, you know, hard and fast, but just what would you change in a lock community if you did have some control?
Um, I wish, and I say this a lot, and I'm a very idealistic person, even though I'm a realistic person. I have ideals, but I'm also realistic. But I think the biggest thing in the lock community that concerns me, especially with this, and I don't really have another word but to say this cult following for the brand, is do research. You know, really make sure you understand what it is. Why, like when someone's so obsessed about having sister locks over, say, microlocs, you know, generic microlocs, why? You know what I'm saying? Like, do you really understand, like, what is it about this that makes you feel it's better than that? You know? And I think we just need to not be so quick to jump on bandwagons, you know, and believing everything that we see. Like we said, for years, it was on the website for them that it was a patented system. It's
Right.
not, you know, but who do you believe? You know, and I think there's so much confusion out here. I wish people would just do a little bit more research, you know, before they jump on and throw their money at things. Look at the body of work. You know, if someone's offering a class, there's tons of classes out here right now being offered, you know, for microlots. Okay, I said this and I will continue to say this. Prior to us rolling out that class and basically putting it in people's face, you didn't see people doing it out in the open.
Right.
You knew that a few people were, you know, hosting classes here in private, but nobody out here running ads and showing everybody, well, you can come take this class. And tell me if I'm wrong, like prior to August 2020, well, really July 2020, because that's when we started advertising, what did you really see out there?
Right.
But now to look out and I see so many people, that does not bother me. I'm happy about that,
Right.
because it's letting me see that people have stepped into their independence and they understand, yes, the brand was a means for us to start this entrepreneurial thing. And for that, I'm always going to be thankful. I will always give kudos to, you know, Sisterlocks creator. You know what I'm saying? I'm going to give that to her. I'm not going to take that away. But all that other stuff, no, I can't get with that. Okay, I'm not supporting that. And that does not give you the right to step on the very people that you supposedly were setting out to inspire. So I think people just need to understand there's more than one way to get nice locks, regardless of what size you want them to be, you know, and it doesn't have to come through the brand. That was the whole bottom line of what I was trying to get people to understand. You have options out here. You may not choose me, but hey, you go to Natasha's class, I know you're going to be good, because even though I was offering this tool, I still wanted to maintain the integrity that people are doing the right thing, you know, that like to cultivate healthy locks.
Right.
I didn't want to feed into people out here messing up people's hair. So I had a dilemma there. Like, am I only going to offer this to consultants, or do I want to open it up to the public? But I'm like, no, more people are going to start offering classes, and I want to cultivate that. But I just want people to understand you have options out here. And don't be worried. Don't get caught up in the name. Get caught up in the service that you're going to get. Get caught up in the health of your hair that's going to be maintained. You know, and if Sister Girl over here can talk to you and is not afraid to answer questions about the services she's providing and her references are checking out, she may not be a bad option for you to go to her. You know, it doesn't, just because she's not on this registry over here, because we didn't even want to talk about the registry, you know, and how outdated that thing was for how long. Hell, my attorney sent them something in 2020. I don't think my name came off the registry until like a few months ago. You see what I'm saying? So I was still getting calls from people looking for Sisterlock services. Well, I got your name off the list. So now you're making me look like I'm a hypocrite, because I already said I don't fool with them no more. So why am I still on your registry? You see what I'm saying? So was that intentional?
Right.
to make it look like I'm not who I say I am. See, there's all these little passive, microaggression things that have been going on. And I'm just like, look, man, I want to see us all win, but don't be disrespectful. Don't play in my face. Like this whole thing where you low key boycotting my tool. Like, come on, man. Like, let's not do that. Nike is out here minding their business because Nike is Nike and they know what their brand stands for. I don't worry about what I'm doing because I know when you come to me for Brown Queens, gonna give you what you pay for and then some. I don't care what Sister Locks is doing over here, but don't be over here talking reckless. Don't be over here defaming my business because I'm legit with how I handle things.
Well, I'm
And
going to tell you something that someone told me. Like, when people bring your business up that often, it's because they're fearful. And if you were a nobody and you didn't impact the lock community, you
yeah,
would not be relevant. So the
yeah,
fact that you're in conversations with certain groups says a lot about, one, what you've cultivated, and two, like, who you are as a person. You're not a pushover. You obviously stand up to anything that doesn't align with your integrity and best practices. And so the only people that could possibly be uncomfortable are the people who are unethical. I mean,
yeah,
that's my
yeah,
assessment. It may be, I might be stretching, but I do think that the way you operate your business and the type of feedback that you solicit speaks volumes about who you are right now and who you will become. Obviously, I had a lot more questions to ask you, Goldie, but I was tired and I'm old, and I got a trainer in the morning. I got to leave my house at 6 o'clock in the morning.
yeah,
But again, I want to say to you that I really enjoyed this live because I always love to speak to people who are not afraid of the internet. And because you answer the questions, and I feel like this is a part one. For some reason, I feel like we need to continue this conversation and maybe even offer a Q&A pretty early, maybe kind of like a forum. I don't know. I'll brainstorm. But I do want to say to you, one, congratulations on your success.
Thank you.
Two, you're obviously going to do very well in the future because we all know who you are. And for the people who didn't before tonight, they know you now.
Yeah.
Your brand is going to blow up. Just because it's new doesn't mean anything. Your brand is going to blow up because there's an alternative. And I don't want to downplay anyone else's successes. There are other brands who are equally successful, but there's room for everybody.
Absolutely.
And for those of you in the audience, if you guys have been apprehensive about buying her tool because you feel like you're going to come across a conflict with the Sisterlocks Corporation, absolutely not. Now you know. I've been telling y'all, I feel like y'all been calling me a liar. I've been telling y'all their tool is not patented. So this is the reason why you can use other tools. But I feel like there's room for everyone. Just be open to exploring it. Right now, we are going to open up the floor for questions. I know I already see everything lighting up. I'm overwhelmed already. I'm overwhelmed. Let me take a sip of my salsa water. Let me see. If y'all too spicy tonight, I'm not going to be able to see with y'all. Hold on.
Well, I just want to say while you screen the questions, I just want to thank you, for, getting me to step into this technology thing, and come on and talk and giving me the opportunity to come and share. I think you've seen I'm an open book, and I appreciate the support because yes, I had some writers with me. I had some that, I didn't know if they would come back after the re-release, and I had some that were waiting. As soon as we released, they were in there ordering, and I appreciate that. It literally is me, and my mother is my admin support. She handles all the shipping stuff, and I'm appreciative. I don't take anything for granted. But it was important for me to do what I told y'all I would do. When I said, look, we're going to fix this problem, but I just needed time, to get it done. And y'all waited for me, and you guys have been sending orders in. So I appreciate you, and I appreciate everyone else, the customers who have been out there ordering from me, because it lets me know that, okay, they're catching on, they're catching on, and they see I was just trying to make work easier for them. So I'm glad
And
to
it
see that.
is. It's working. It's you right now. I feel like between you, the interlocks tool and the new locks tool, like to me, those are the core tools. This
Yeah.
is what you buy when you interlocking here. That's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
I'm sure someone can come up with an alternative, but you guys have it nailed down, and I wish
Yeah.
everyone success in this process. Let me see
Yeah.
what y'all talking about. Y'all better be
Okay.
asking real questions. Don't be asking silly things that you could DM me about. Let me see.
Uh-oh.
Wait, let me see. Will y'all do a part 2 of this live? That's what you asking? A part 2? I said we will probably end up doing a part 2. Okay. Can you see if you see any questions on your end? I'm gonna pull up the Instagram live from my Ask a Loctician page to see if maybe I missed anything, because I only saw one question.
Okay.
I did see that someone was trying to go live with us, but since that wasn't planned, we ain't doing that. Hold on, let me see
Okay.
something. Oh, we do
Yeah, I
have
saw
something in
it.
queue. It says, I want the tea. So yes, I'm asking for part 2. Yes, we're gonna figure out a part 2. What is the next retightening class? So do you have another retightening class?
I do. And that's the thing, about us, this whole business dynamic. I'm the webmaster and all of that
Right.
right now. So I just have to load the dates. I was supposed to load them today, but I didn't get to that. So I would anticipate this week, probably no later than Wednesday, I will have new dates refreshed, because I'm going to be trying to take a little vacation. So I'm going to get all that stuff loaded before I go. So this week I should have new course dates and sections available for people to sign up for retightenings, the virtual microlocs class, and I guess possibly for the next actual in-person class. So it's coming this week.
Are your classes like ongoing, or do you just announce it based on your availability?
I try to usually announce a couple, 2 to 3. I usually try to do a live class at least once a month or every other month. But when it's coming into the summer, I'm definitely going to be on vacation. So the next class would probably not be until August. And I'm trying to do a class in Indiana, possibly in September. So I kind of release it as my schedule permits. But the virtual stuff is just a matter of me plugging them in, because I just program people in and they can go in and take it during that window. So,
Okay.
yeah.
So just to be clear, you have, I just want to wrap up, but I want to make sure that we highlight everything connected to her brand.
Mhm.
So she has a brand called For Brown Queens.
With a
Number
Z.
4,
Yep.
Brown Queens. Within that brand, she offers virtual and in-person classes. She
Mm-hmm.
also offers a tool, and that
Mm-hmm.
tool is called the DAP tool, DAP. So you can
Yep.
purchase one or a set of DAP tools. I believe a set is $36.
The single is $36.99.
Uh-huh.
And the sets are 65.98.
Okay,
Okay.
so the set itself is 65. So now the set, well, forget about the set. The tool itself, it has 2 sides. So it has the hooking part, which is the retightening. Yes, show it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
And then you
Mm-hmm.
have the tip. Now the tip serves 2 purposes, because you can use the tip to either bring down a hair and close up holes. You can do repairs, but you can
Mm-hmm.
also part with the tip.
Yes. Yes. So if you're installing, listen, I'm telling you, once you get those sections together, you go through and all you're doing is locking and parting. You don't ever have to put this tool down. And it handles large and smaller interlocks. Okay, because a lot of people say, oh, well, it's not, it's for, no, I'm telling you, you can get down into sister lock size locks all the way up to the larger interlocks. Yes, yes,
I do
yes.
want to offer some clarity, because I know that when you take the class, one of the things that's told to you that if you don't use the Sisterlocks tool, you are no longer considered a Sisterlocks client. But the truth is, you ain't paid $2,000 just for somebody to convert your Sisterlocks into microlocs just because you use a different tool. I'm gonna just say that right now. Y'all can fight me if y'all want, but I'm not about to call nothing on microlocs. And I just gave Keisha
Thank
2,000
you.
beans, took the money out my savings account, didn't tell my husband, and you about to convert my locks. No,
Yeah.
ma'am, not happening. So that's just me, but whatever.
They can go
Let me
listen
keep
to
this
my
up.
live discussion on that. They not on YouTube, because I did a whole mouthful about the foolery and the marketing ploy, because that's what it is. It's marketing. So that's a good clarification to throw out there. Yeah.
I'm gonna end the live by saying this. I'm gonna direct it to not only the spies that tend to watch my lives for the Sisterlocks Corporation, but I'm gonna direct this to the Sisterlocks Corporation themselves. We wanted you to win.
Yeah.
We cared about you. We
Yeah.
loved on you. We supported you. We did everything that we could possibly do to get the name out.
Yeah.
We advocated for you, even when you was talking shit and wasn't making sense. In the front line, people were saying, that shampoo is giving me dandruff. And in the background, we were like, okay, let me see how we could remix this. Yeah, hey, it's giving our clients dandruff. What do we do? We'll take a look at it. Nothing happens. And so, we wanted you guys to be the end all. We wanted you guys to be the queen of locks. We wanted you guys to be the pioneers of this industry. But because you weren't willing to adjust, everybody adjusts. You became no different than the Polaroid camera, right? Than Radio Shack, a business that was created, and in its time, it was operable, it was effective, and when the world changed, you stood still. And this is the result. So I want to end the live again by saying thank you. I hope that someone carries the message back, and I'm sure there's screen recordings, so they're
Oh,
probably going to
absolutely.
chop this up. I hope my non-existent baby hairs look okay. We too old to be petty.
That's like,
Listen, guys, we got to end the live, because if not, we'll just keep going through questions. But I am going to post this live raw. What I'm going to do is I'm going to send it to my guest first. If she feels comfortable with everything, I'll post it raw. If she's like, no, take that out, then I need to edit it a little bit. But give me 24 hours. Give me 24 hours, and I'll be able to give you some feedback. I appreciate everyone that was on this live.
yeah.
I appreciate you, Kimberly, aka Goldie. I appreciate that you were honest and transparent. And I know we're going to do this again. What would be real? If it's like you, me, and Peace from Philly, because I feel like she's another real one on.
Is that peace of mind? Is that
so?
peace
Okay,
of
that's Renee.
Okay.
Peace of mind too. Let me roll it back. Let me roll it back. But let me tell you something. Peace of mind is worse than me, because she don't have no filter. I have a little filter. She don't have no filter. So
Oh, wow.
we're gonna have to all prep her before. But okay, so we got Peace of Mind, Renee. We got Peace from the Lock Shop. We got you, and then we got me. We're gonna figure it out.
Okay.
Figure it out. So I
love some
appreciate
good
you.
combo.
I'll talk to you behind the scenes. I hope you guys enjoyed this live. I hope it brought some value. And I think we're going to do a part 2.
We should. We should.
Yeah,
We
so.
probably should. I think we have enough content to go.
I think so too. I think we need like a little break from social media, just so we
Yeah.
can get some sleep
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
and then
Yeah.
do something big.
Yeah.
I
Okay.
appreciate you,
Okay.
Mama.
All right. Thank you so
Guys,
much. Y'all have a good night, dog.
have
I
a good
didn't see
night.
all the comments, but good night.
All right, I'll talk to you soon.
Okay.
All right, good
All
night,
right. Bye
guys.
bye. Good night.